welcome back to the Beat Down Bandits podcast. I am Colin, and this is season 4, episode 7 of the podcast. Yeah, it's been a few months. I do apologize. I felt way behind, but work is just kicking my butt. Not gonna lie. So, been traveling a whole bunch for work and spent several weeks outside. Pretty much on the other side of the country, quite literally. So, yeah, just with travel and trying to get everything else done. You know, kids back in school and all this other stuff. It's just a bunch of excuses, but yeah, just haven't had time to just sit down and record something. I still have like a giant list of ideas of things that I want to do and want to record and get back out on here and do some things. And I've had some ideas and thoughts, so like, oh, I need to record something. Like this would be great to record. Just never got around to it. It's kind of I guess a lower priority for me, but here we are. We're back. It's something I've noticed. I've done this a handful of times before. I'm pretty sure I've done this video, but it gets updated constantly because of meta changes or whatever. But we're going to do a tier maker podcast again with season 18 of Apex Legends after all the changes really focused around Revenant, obviously this season. So, you know, his dramatic rework and stuff. So, I'm gonna do the tier maker, really based around, uh, I guess like everything. I mean, some people will do it kind of based around like ranked or pubs or competitive or whatever. I'm gonna do it for just kind of in general. Like if you're just gonna sit down and play with two randoms and be somewhat competitive. So we'll just say kind of a sweaty pubs match type of a thing, but still trying to be competitive and win. So I'm gonna base it around that. So I'm just gonna kind of work my way. Of course, this is not alphabetical with Revenant being first, but otherwise it's alphabetical. It looks like. So we're gonna start with Revenant and then alphabetical. So Revenant, in my opinion, is a lot better. He's very he kind of went away from that team based thing because now his ability is really focused around himself. Where his ultimate before would obviously affect his teammates. Now it's a very very solo based thing. So to me, he's still dramatically improved. His ultimate in the past I don't think was very good at all. He's very hyper aggressive. Obviously with his new tactical. You know, his ability to still be super stealthy and crawl. Is still very very helpful. So I'm gonna move him up from where I think he would have been in the past, which have been probably like a D tier. I still think just because he doesn't offer a ton for the team, I'll put him in B, but he could probably be like a lower A. And again, these are just my opinions. Everybody has their own different opinions. Somebody could say Vantage, you know, the world's greatest Vantage player is the best in Apex, but others would disagree. So again, this is just my opinion. It's cool if you totally disagree. I don't have a problem with that. Ash, in my opinion, right now, I think Ash is probably the worst legend in Apex, or maybe not the worst, but she's pretty dang low. She needs, I don't know if she needs like a rework, but something needs a slightly buffed with her. I think. I don't feel like she's just not super strong. Um, Ballistic, obviously, he offers a little bit more. He's very great at being aggressive. I think his tactical is just okay. But his ultimate can be very useful with your teammates. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll put him in like C tier for now. Bang, Bang, I think works at every level. Pubs, ranked, competitive. She's obviously very used, even with her, you know, kind of minor nerf. With her ultimate, and the time on the ultimate, I still think she's S tier. She's still really good. She's easy to pick up for new players. She's great for super experienced competitive. I think if I'm telling somebody to start Apex, go straight to Bangalore. She's so good. Every single one of her abilities are great, useful for solo players, competitive, ranked, everything. So again, I think Bang is an obvious S tier. Bloodhound, Bloodhound, obviously the wall hacks. I'm really glad we've got Nerf out of or Nerf. We've got Seer um out of the meta. I hate the wall hacks meta. Especially when I'm trying to do fun, goofy things for content. When Seer the last few seasons as Seer was just being was extremely annoying, really really aggressive, very much in the meta. It was a nightmare. So but with Bloodhound, obviously it's a little less. His ability, you can obviously see a lot farther. Um you have to be good. You have to get knocks and stuff with his ultimate. So I think Bloodhound is probably still B tier. I might move him around, but he's I in my opinion Bloodhound is B tier. Fuse, he got like that minor nerf to his knuckle clusters. His ultimate is still kind of garbage. It can be useful. Um it's very situational. I mean, a lot of abilities are, but his ultimate might be the most situational. Um, but yeah, if you don't hit with that thing, it's just a waste. People can easily jump over it, get through it with only taking just a few damage. So I think his ultimate is kind of crappy. I don't think it needs like a major buff, but some type of tweak, maybe just making the fire walls higher, I think is probably fine. But again, his tactical is probably one of the most useful tacticals in the game, especially with so many catalysts out there. I mean, I think he's really strong. Um, so I might put him. I was thinking about A, because his passive is so useful. I might put him A, but he's like bottom A, maybe top of B tier. Crypto to me is an obvious D tier. I think so much with every single one of his abilities relying on his drone and his tactical ability. I think just for that alone, if somebody just shoots your drone, guess what? You have no added abilities. You're just a legend shooting your gun. So I think just for that simple fact alone, he's in D tier. He just needs some type of love, I think, from the devs, but right now he's D tier. Catalyst, I think Catalyst is. Uh, I think she's probably S tier. I think every single one of her abilities is useful. I admittedly, when she first dropped, I'm like, okay, like I like her. I like her passive ability with the doors. I like her tacticals. Her tacticals were pretty decent. You could really lock down a room. And I kind of enjoy the controller legends. I've always been like a Watson fan, and kind of went through phases with Caustic and stuff. I mean, obviously they're both very good. So I've always enjoyed the controller legends. I know most people don't or hate people who play them, but that's cool with me. Um, and Cat fits into one of those as well. So I think I think her wall I didn't see the full use of until competitive, and you start watching the comp matches and scrims, and you realize like, oh, okay, like this is like not only is she a controller legend, but she can rotate your team as well, as long as the wall works and you place it right. So she's definitely S tier. You can use her in anything. You can launch with no fill. She's super useful. If you watch somebody like Ill Spooky or whoever playing Catalyst, and he just does it solo. It really shows like just popping in and out of rooms and locking the doors, being able to heal super quick. I mean, if you're goaded, then yeah, Cat is really good. Caustic is, I mean, he hasn't really been touched. Again, like just the ability to lock out an area. I still think with Fortified, with being able to scan Beacon, and his abilities. I mean, obviously his passive is kind of whatever, but his tactical and ultimate alone are amazing. So I think A tier. His ultimate is easy enough to get away from, and you can easily like set off one of his gas traps and back out. But he's hard to push. He's hard to push for sure. So I think he's definitely an S tier. Loba, or excuse me, A tier. Loba, I think is probably like a B tier. I mean, I think she's a, I don't know, maybe an A, but I'll put her in B. Maybe I'll just do this to appease some people. Um, Loba, I think is still really good. Um, she's great solo. She's great dropping into pubs with some randoms. Your randoms will love you. You can still get decent loot and play things somewhat safe. She's been used in like comp a little bit. I still think she's pretty decent in ranked, but doesn't really quite fit the actual like high competitive meta, for sure. But again, her abilities are better. Her bracelet originally was obviously like total trash. Was broken 99% of the time. So her bracelet seems to be a lot more useful. um her passive, being able to see everything, is still great. Especially just trying to loot up right real quick on drop, that's super helpful. And then obviously the black market, being able to get all the ammo in the area. I found that really interesting. I think it was probably NRG and Gilderson who did who did Loba for a little bit, and was basically just stealing all the loot at the end. You still have to watch, like, if you watch like the competitive games and people know there's a Loba nearby, like you'll see them do insanely fast armor swaps and stuff because they don't want their purple armor getting swapped or whatever and stolen. So but Loba, yeah, I feel like just overall, like a high B is probably okay. Lifeline, there's all sorts of talk about Lifeline. I still think she's extremely useful. Um, uh, Mostly because of her tactical. I would love the fast heals. Her ultimate is better than it used to be, because it obviously provides things that are useful. There's like a little like dust particle floating over here, it's driving me nuts. So her ultimate is still better. Her tactical is really good. And then obviously her passive, just being able to heal and stuff, is great. Or reviving teammates with those abilities. That's great. I think a lot of people miss her like a wall drone thing that she had previously. So I wouldn't mind seeing that come back in. I also wouldn't mind seeing like the fast heals again. I know she was kind of like a lot of people's original like uh goat legend. Like it was like her and Wraith were like everybody's like farming 20 bombs because of her fast heals. And her ability to do that. And then her ability to like use her knocked teammates as almost a shield because she could do like bait the revives. And so she had all these abilities. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if she necessarily needs a rework, but yeah, to me, she's pretty C tier. She's still really good and useful. Probably a little more useful in lower ranks and pubs type stuff, but yeah, you don't see her too much in any competitive. Horizon obviously still got nerfed, but her ability still to just get her team out of a situation, taking high ground or stealing high ground from a team. Her ultimate is decent. It can definitely cause a lot of problems, especially if you have two or three nades with you. It can cause disaster for teams. But still, her lift, even being nerfed and kind of giving you that sway, is still really good. You're not going to hit as many shots in that now, but I don't see too many people getting kills while up on it anyway. And more or less is just that quick rotational piece. So I think she's still really good for that purpose. That didn't go away. Gibby, Gibby, I think is still really strong. None of his abilities have changed for the last few seasons. I know he's kind of dropped out of meta. You'll still see him trickle in a little bit in like competitive stuff, but I think overall, Gibby is. I mean, is he still A tier? I mean, he might be like low A, high B again. Um, I don't think he's great uh in like pubs games because people will just push him. Um, and unless I mean, unless you're playing like the bubble meta with shotguns and stuff, which shotguns I think are decent right now. They're not like crazy meta, but I mean, Gibby to me is probably around here. Um, he might be probably above Revenant in my opinion, but yeah, I think Gibby is probably a solid B tier again in my opinion. His ultimate's still really good, and his ultimate did get the time buff, which is great, um but it's just it's a small area and it's still easy enough to get out of or take protection from. So, but with less Gibbies, then Gibby is stronger. So yeah, so I'll keep him in B. Mad Maggie, remember when Mad Maggie was kind of like trying to sneak into the meta there, but again, her ultimate is just questionable. I don't understand it. I wish her tactical got a slight buff. Maybe just like the distance it can burn through. I think would help her a lot. I think she's probably D tier. Um, uh, I mean, she's better than Crypto, but I would put her in D tier. Again, she could probably easily be a C, but I just don't enjoy her. Um, granted, it's nice. It would be nice to have a shotgun all the time or whatever, but right now it's just not crazy meta. So yeah, I think she goes in there. Mirage is so fun. But obviously, I mean, I think he's actually like really useful in pubs and lower ranked. But once you start getting up into like diamond level, you'll see him drop off real quick. I feel he's more useful than what a lot of people, most people are just like, yeah, he's probably the best personality. He's great. He's super fun to play, but overall his usefulness is D. I think his ultimate mixed with his passive and ability to revive and go invisible and do that, I think is very underrated. I think he's actually better than what most people give him credit for. I'll put him low C. Nobody's probably going to be above him in C, or excuse me, below him in C. But I think he's better than what people give him credit for. And regardless of lobby, I mean, I was in master and pred lobbies last season, and I was still bamboozling people anytime I would play Mirage. It works. Newcastle. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they kind of gave Lifeline's ability to kind of Newcastle with the shield. So I think he's probably better than Lifeline at this point. The ability to move with a shield. I mean, if you give him a gold knockdown, and then game is over. I mean, I've definitely played in games with elite Newcastles. Even Ben that I play with is really good with him, and there's been games that we've been very successful where he'll get 3 or 4 revives off real quick in a fight, and we end up winning that. So I think just the revive ability alone, his ultimate is unique and cool. His tactical, again, the shields that he provides makes rotating easy. I think he's very situational with the ultimate. Like you have to get that in the right spot, and it can be very useful. Um, so yeah, I think B tier. I would probably put him above a couple of these people. He might be like high B tier in my opinion. I don't play him a lot. I don't enjoy his kit very much, but he's really good when you play with a good Newcastle. It's great. Octane again is super fun to play. He's great in pubs. His I think overall like I don't know. I mean his abilities are fine. He's like I said, great in pubs, lower ranks, but competitive and stuff. I mean he's probably maybe like high Z. Again, probably the one of Mirage between Mirage and Octane. They're the funnest ones to play in pubs anyway. So I think his ability is a little more helpful for the team. Being able to move, obviously the jump pads are great, but I think to win and be competitive, he's a little less that way. Seer is still good, but obviously I think he's the lowest picked right now. So we're going from highest pick to lowest pick. I think he is the lowest picked, because he got kind of nerfed into the ground. His abilities are still useful. I might put him like top of D. Is he still C tier? He's probably still like C tier. I mean, I still see him in competitive. maybe he's more useful than these guys. So we'll put him right there. I think Bloodhound is more useful with the whole wall hack meta. Now Rampart is interesting because uh man, like her walls go down insanely fast. Of course, obviously Sheila is amazing. Her walls are a heck of a lot better with how fast they can go. Um, man, I think before I probably would have put her like C or D, but I mean her, she's actually like really well balanced. I feel like right now. LMGs, in my opinion, right now aren't very good, so I would probably put her like low B, but she's actually surprisingly decent. Pathfinder, I think Pathfinder's just going to go into A. I mean, the mobility alone, I think is amazing. His hitbox is a little goofy and stuff, but I think he's obvious A tier. Um, Especially if you're good with the tactical demand, that makes things so much better. Valkyrie, I think Valkyrie is a lot more balanced. Obviously she was an easy S tier. She was like a guaranteed pick, and obviously the evac towers nerfed her a little bit. So I think she's probably like a low A in my opinion. She can still be useful, or maybe she's more in like this B tier. Um, again, her tactical kind of got nerfed a couple seasons ago, and then her ultimate I think got nerfed about the same time. Yeah, they all got nerfed. Her ultimate got nerfed at the same time, and then the next season they added the evac towers, so she fell right out of the meta because that was her big useful thing, was being able to quickly rotate. And if your team can get 2 or 3 evacs, then you can rotate faster than a Valcolt. Now, granted, the Valcolt, you're going up quicker, you're harder to get hit. It can't be shot down. I mean, it can be shot down, but you're not going to be shooting down the balloon like on the evac tower, and you're going higher and faster. So her ultimate is better than an evac, but you can stack the evacs with your teammates. So I think she's pretty well balanced. But obviously she's no longer an S tier legend. Vantage, man, if you can hit your shots and keep your distance, Vantage is so good. But the problem is, I think like her ability, I'm gonna put her like right in here. The her ultimate ability going around a sniper, which you can pick up anywhere. I feel like her sniper needs some type of added bonus, and something I thought of a long time ago, and I did a really old podcast on ideas for legend, like future legends, and it was way before Vantage. This was probably back in like the season 6 time frame, season 7, somewhere thereabouts. I thought like, man, we need a sniper legend, and my thought was like the ultimate. You could hold like extra sniper ammo as like kind of a passive, faster reload, something like that. But the ultimate, you could go passive, and it would be X amount of seconds or whatever. But the ability to like lay down and make you extremely hard to hit while still being able to shoot, in my opinion, would be great. You imagine like laying down in a bush as a sniper, and you get like 15 seconds to hit a couple shots. If Vantage could do that, I think she would move up pretty quick and jump into like a B tier. But I think as of right now, with the laser on it, um, and you still being like 2 shot to get knocked, I think is kind of keeps her low-ish. Her tactical is still really good. I really like the bat idea; it was super clever. So I think her tactical is amazing. And again, her sniper is still really good, or her marksman is still really good. So being able to hit those shots is very satisfying, and it's easy to hit. So all right, last two. Watson, I think Watson is an A tier legend. There might be some bias there. So but yeah, I still think like in pubs games, no, she's kind of more like a C tier. But I think as soon as you move into ranked and comp, she's amazing. She offers so much of being able to hold people out, and even if like you're blocking off like a bottleneck area or a choke point, even if you put a wall up there and it doesn't hit anybody, they shoot it down. Guess what? People are coming. So she offers a lot of like that type of team communication and team knowledge. And then obviously her ultimate, being able to stop nades and charge shields, helps with just like the inventory, and the economy of being able to not have to have so many cells and shields, and bats rather. So the ultimate helps, the tactical helps, being able to hold extra ultimate accelerants for your team, especially for in game, is super useful. So I think she's probably A tier, but the more competitive, the more useful she is. And then finally, Wraith. I think Wraith is also probably A tier. I mean, her slight nerf, or excuse me, a slight buff to her ultimate, being able to go a little farther, I think is pretty useful. I think her tactical is right where it needs to be. The I know a lot of people miss her like instant get out of jail free card, but that's too much. That's kind of unfair. So I think her tactical where it is right now, her passive, in my opinion, is garbage. There's been plenty of times where I've been shot at, and never got that call out. So if it works, it's great. If not, then whatever. It's kind of it's a weird passive. But so yeah, that's kind of where we are. It's interesting that we have like this little curve right here, but which maybe means things are somewhat balanced. There's not like a whole bunch of S tier and A tier and a bunch of, just a handful. So this looks very well balanced in my opinion. So that's good. So yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think as far as that goes. And yeah, that is it for me today for the podcast. So no promises on when the next one's gonna be. I do have some more travel coming, and there's just a lot going on right now. So yeah, but I'll try to get back as soon as I can. But anyway, thank you very much for watching and or listening, and talk to you later. Bye.